want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
The tourists come over to chill on the beach, but they don't come over the hill where we sleep. We got nightmares and they got fantasies. No sanity, it's just insanity. My mommy hoping nothing happens to me.
Let's do it.
So this is your favorite Zaddy, Lord Jalen Willard, on another episode of Erryting Kool. To the left of me, we have my co-host,
This Mr. Buke, we're gone.
Original Buford. And then on this episode of Erryting Kool, this is a very special episode. We traveled all the way to the 404, the land of the sweet Georgia peaches, not the ones that just on the leaves, but the ones that walking around too. And I just come from in the backyard because, it's a party in the backyard going on right now. But we have a special guest in the building. We have the leader of the Atlanta Junkanoo Group. Please introduce yourself.
How y'all doing? It's Brandon Lafleur from all the way back at home in Nassau, here in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I am the leader of Atlanta Junkanoo Group, the only Junkanoo Group here in Atlanta.
Okay. And before we get into this amazing interview, we like to start off every episode with a Bahamian word, phrase, statement, some type of mix-up with, how we like to do things. Or, we like to mash up words together. So, Brandon, please let everybody in podcast land, let them know what the Bahamian saying, phrase, or word of the day is.
My favorite. My new favorite.
Your new
that name over.
That name over. So tell me, what, for people who don't know, and we have other guests who are not from the Bahamas sitting with us, what that name over mean?
Essentially, if it over, that's what it name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get bust in your head, not to go sleep. Somebody punch in your mouth. And you get knocked out, that deal over.
All right.
The party mash up.
That
Time
name,
to go home.
That name
That
over.
name over.
The police come.
That name,
That name over. That name
done.
over.
Done. Yeah.
All right, man. All right. So, we like to keep things cool, everything solid. So, take us a little history, probably a more historical trip on like how you grown up in the Bahamas for you and how you migrated to the U.S.
Yeah. So in my household, it was a foregone conclusion that I was going to college.
Okay.
Yeah, so naturally, graduating out of SAC, I went to Florida A&M.
Are you a soccer?
Yeah, yeah.
Red Machine.
Yes,
The
sir.
big red machine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, as you went to FAMU.
Went to FAMU. So that was my migration. Went to college. I spent a year and a half home.
Okay.
I guess in a way preparing myself to go to college, and then I went to college and I went to FAMU in 1998.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dope. So, after what you studied at FAMU?
So I did civil engineering.
Oh.
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
Yes, sir. I did civil
That's another
engineering.
Jamie. Because my boy Jamie, I think he's a technical engineer, or he's some engineer, and he's been living in Atlanta for 15 years. So yeah, all right. So you went for civil engineering. So how you might move from Florida to Georgia?
So my older brother was here in Atlanta.
Okay.
He went from Oklahoma, and he was able to start working in Atlanta. Then I had another cousin here in Atlanta. And for Atlanta is the natural progression or migration from FAMU.
Okay.
Most of the students go to Atlanta. So I was actually trying to go to Atlanta, but the job that I got was was actually in Selma, Alabama.
Selma.
Selma, Alabama is where I started working for a company, engineering firm. So, so I went from there a year and a half in Selma, Alabama, working, and then came to Atlanta from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what, like, okay, me personally, moving from the Bahamas to the U.S. for a while, and like it's certain like some of the culture shock at first. Are you trying to get used to a different way of living? How was that for you? From coming fresh from Nassau to FAMU to starting to becoming in the working world in the U.S. to you now have a family and you have children now, and you seeing their growth and maturation. From coming from I grew up in the Bahamas, but my children are growing up in the U.S.
Right. So yeah, I mean, so we for us or for me, I guess kind of the college is like your training ground. You know what I mean?
Okay.
For kind of getting acclimated to the U.S. culture, and then finally you get into the working world.
Okay.
And I think you just kind of find your way. You find your way. It's as simple as that. You just adapt. You adapt. And for some reason, we do that very well as Bahamians.
Hey, I think more so with the accent though.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You only gotta be 2 minutes in Miami, and it's like y'all trying to you don't talk like that.
Right. But I think we do that, but we kind of revert we revert back to our accent real easily. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a way the way to try to get comfortable.
Yeah.
We try to talk like Americans just to feel comfortable in that setting. Mm-hmm. And as soon as we get back in our settings, we revert right back to what we were. You know what I mean? Or what we are. You know.
So do you think because on that, do you think Bahamians too much assimilate into American culture versus other like Caribbean countries where like you have a Jamaican been here for 20 years but they still sound like they from Mobile or like a Trinidadian or whoever. Right. But we would within the first 5 years we would assimilate to where we are using we stop really using Bahamian dialect and we don't even celebrate our own culture. We start taking on this other culture. So what do you feel like
about that?
Yeah.
Definitely. I think we definitely do that more than, like I said, more than the other Caribbean cultures. And I couldn't tell you why that is.
I mean, I
think, but it may have to do something with us and our proximity to the U.S.
Okay.
Maybe that's what it is. And since we all like we're so close, we feel close to the U.S. The Americans. So when we finally get here, maybe it's like now, I've been watching them. I've been interacting with them as they come into our island as tourists and stuff like that. And once we get inside, it's kind of like now we here. Like now we so used to it. We've seen it. It's kind of like that's why we kind of just fall right into place. I don't know. That's a one opinion.
I mean, my opinion on it is what you're saying is very valid as well. But I feel like what happens over time, because we come from a small place and because Bahamians are so much isolationist, we don't naturally travel with our culture. So that's why it doesn't really grow and expand. Versus, like, if you think about Jamaican culture, you have 1 million Jamaicans living in Jamaica, but you have 1 million Jamaicans living in the U.S., 1 million Jamaicans living in Canada, 1 million Jamaicans living in the U.K. So, and that's why they are still grounded within their culture because they are broadcasting and now it's pop culture. Mm-hmm. So, so I feel like maybe when we travel, we should travel with our culture and like as a tree when it bears fruit and then, the seeds spread. Like the wind takes the seeds and they're planted in other soil.
we have to try to sell our culture, you know.
Yeah.
Just be proud of it, man. Like I say, maybe because like how we so isolated when we travel, Bahamas are like we're scattered away,
Yeah.
We need to keep that together, Like when we see something happen, when we see something back home, like let's say when the Olympics happen and so when we're doing the race and when let's say we come like in the top 3, whatever in the race we do, and then we win, that's when we get proud of our culture and what's not. We show our,
our national pride.
Yeah, but that's something we could, work on.
And that's why I like what Brandon is doing, and like it was around the same time I came across the Atlanta Junkanoo Group. We had just started TJT, and that's what our main motive is to promote culture, not just internally, but connect with all the Bahamians that live worldwide, and like sync it up to bake it. Like it was like what inspired me was the whole watching Black Panther, and not like they have this rich culture in Wakanda, but then they have the war dogs living everywhere else, looking at what the world doing, and then bringing it back, and then pushing it back outside. So, that's my whole thing. But I don't think we need to assimilate. I think because our culture is somewhat unknown, that's what makes us sort of special and makes us different.
Right. And just to hit on that point of being isolationist, I think naturally, because like you said, when a Jamaican moves from Jamaica and moves into a city, they usually move into a community or area that's full of Jamaicans.
Yeah.
So they're never really alone. So they're always kind of standing strong. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of what happens. Like Bahamians don't, like I don't know any city or state that you can say that area, that's a Bahamian community. That's a Bahamian area. You know what I mean? There may be somewhere in Miami.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the Florida Keys, but then like I said, they assimilate to U.S.
Right,
culture.
but you wouldn't realize that's a Bahamian community, maybe. Right. So and I think that's what makes it difficult for us as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you went from Nassau and you came to Atlanta and there's a subdivision, and in that subdivision there's 100 other Bahamians in there.
Yeah.
Now that's a strong Bahamian community in there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of what we're missing. And when a Jamaican go to New York, they're definitely going into a Jamaican community. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, and we don't have that.
Yeah, and I think that's what Junkanoo sort of brings is community. So I feel like just studying Junkanoo a little bit more, understanding how it brings us all together. I think it's essential that when you have a group of Bahamians staying in a particular city, you should practice Junkanoo or have some Junkanoo element, because I think that's the core of us, and that's what makes us come together. Like and any
and unique too,
yeah.
Yeah.
So then, like any celebrations, like even if you think back to what you were saying with the Olympics, what you playing when such and such win some gold medal? The first thing you gonna think, we gonna have a Junkanoo Russia. That's the first thing,
right? And it should, it should.
Yeah.
And it should be like that. Like if you go to New Orleans,
with Mardi
right?
Gras.
Yeah, if you go to Mardi Gras, you don't.
Yeah.
Everything is celebrated the same way. Like wedding, funeral. You know what I mean? Everything has, you got some live jazz or some second line. You know what I mean? A parade. You know what I mean? That encompasses their culture. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what it should be. Like every time you have a wedding, you should have Junkanoo. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Funeral, you should have Junkanoo. You know
and that's what
party. You know what I mean? It should be. You know what I mean?
Every celebration is Junkanoo. So, so what do you think are some of the stigmas people like generally have of Bahamians? What you have come across?
I don't know. That we're Jamaicans.
Yeah, that's really
right, because they don't know us like that.
Yeah.
So they just assume that if you're Caribbean, you're Jamaican. But I don't know. But I'd say there's people who've met Bahamians. People who've met Bahamians always are like they love them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that and that's been my experience. Anybody who would say, "Oh, boy, I met this Bahamian dude. Oh man, that dude was cool as hell, man. I love that dude, man. Yeah, I mean yeah. But no, like one thing other than they really like, oh, that dude was really cool, man.
Okay.
Other than that.
No, but it's like me and him was talking about this, like, okay, what's some of the stigmas probably you face as a Bahamian into outside the Bahamas? I mean, most of the times it's good vibes or whatever. Like, it's a different flair, it's a different flavor. Like I say, culture-wise, ain't nobody really seen our culture before, so since they ain't really seen the culture, they ain't really seen us. If you really like break it down and think about it.
Right.
So it's like something fresh and new and nothing like I gotta go dig and research. And you know.
Now, I know, like, I experienced when I was away, like, I always say, that's how we have in a normal conversation, like, we'll say, like, bay or something like that. They'll get curious, like, what that means, you know? And then when we say, like, different terms, let's say, I know I had a friend again, I think I said this in the previous podcast. I would say, oh, I have a friend, mangoes gang, yeah, what else? They was like, wow, say I like that term. And it's like, you have any more? You see? So stuff like that. I mean, that's how they get a little curious with it. That's the only thing, you know. I mean, at the when we was over there, that's the only thing they wanted to, they figure out who, you know, Bahamians, you know?
Yeah. I think the problem is with us, and this is something that I feel passionate about, is pushing Junkanoo.
Okay.
Not necessarily as a parade and a cultural expression, but more out of the Junkanoo as a music, right? Because if you think of Trinidad, the reason why people know about Trinidad and Carnival is about soca, right?
Yeah.
Soca travels. Soca is all over the world. Reggae is all over the world. That's why people know about those cultures.
Yeah.
They don't know about the Bahamian culture because they don't see, they're not introduced to it through our music, right?
The stories.
To see our and to tell our stories, because to hear our music, you really have to go to Nassau. You got to go to Lafleur. You got to go to the islands. You know what I mean? So I think we could really, I mean, through our music and through our art, and I know our art travels.
Yeah.
Our art definitely travels. But I mean the one thing music everybody could connect with. I think if we could really get more creative with our Junkanoo as a music that people could put in the, you know, pop on your phone and listen to it. I think you will start seeing that connection. Oh, Junkanoo, Bahamian, boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the artists back home are making a concerted effort in trying to do that. So I think it's bubbling. Like it's at like, you know, a very grassroots level. So if they keep on pushing it and then, you know, you having brands like ours, like who are home and who ain't home, pushing this agenda of, you know, culture. So doing that will, I feel like probably in the next 20 years, it might get to that point if we keep on at this pace.
Right. So, I mean, that's definitely a big goal of mine, is to see that pushed.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to wait 20 years. You know what I mean?
I mean, I ain't really waiting.
Not waiting 20 years, but I see what you're saying. But
yeah.
like in 20 years, you'll see
Yeah.
it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But I think, but to do that, I think it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of creative guys. It takes people like yourself, you know, and our artists becoming national artists to see that, and our artists are national artists pushing Junkanoo. You know what I mean?
So what? Like someone inspired you to like one day, you know, say, hey, let me make the Atlanta Junkanoo Group. And do you have like Junkanoo, like you used to rush when you was home, or you was affiliated with any group?
I got a really cool story. I mean, so the story behind that is FAMU.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, because I know they have a Junkanoo scholarship.
Right. So So at FAMU, I came right after we stopped. They started doing. So like I said, in my junior year, then they went ahead to introduce the Junkanoo scholarship.
Okay.
At FAMU. So in FAMU is this lady called Dr. DeCosmo. This white lady called Dr. DeCosmo. Love Bahamians.
Okay.
Wonderful woman, wonderful person. She helped start that Junkanoo group there.
Okay.
And was very instrumental in starting that scholarship program. and which essentially allowed you to come and pay in-state fees, which is which is great, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just great. So I started there and like just really just doing a little bit, being involved because it was a community there.
Okay.
And that was like the greatest thing. So we had a shack right off of campus, and that's where we hung out. That's where we ate. We had our own parties. We played basketball there. You know what I mean? And those guys are like my really good friends today. You know what I mean? So that's where it started. And so when those guys left, some of them went to Orlando, which is
have a Carnival. Yeah.
So Junkanoo there, you was there.
Okay.
In Orlando, which is from us, which is that group of guys, and some of those guys went home. So just me seeing that and how that brought the Bahamians together in for our school. When I got here and I started becoming involved in our community here, and there was the Bahamas Association.
Okay.
And I just kind of looked at it and it's like, man, there's no energy here, And I was like, we're missing something.
What year you thought about this or like try to get involved?
So I just thought about this the other day. I was talking 2014 because I just
that's why I was here 2012 and it was nothing. I'm
right.
Like
So,
I'd have been a part of this if I knew about like it was going on around that time.
Right. So 2014.
All right.
2014, I was in a meeting.
Okay.
I was in a Bahamas Association meeting. I said, hey, why don't we just do Junkanoo? Why don't we just have a Junkanoo up here? And it was like, yeah, that sound all right. Next meeting. It's like, so he's like, form a committee. No, there's like, they'll form a committee or something. And they kind of like, they'll get me involved or whatever. And at the time I was like, okay, let's do something. Nothing happened. 2015 rolled around, nothing happened. Early 2015, I was like, man, I just can do this thing myself. These guys joking. So I called up the same guy who just interrupted us a little while ago. I called him up. I said, who you know? I can start this Junkanoo Group. I posted it online. Before I know it, I had 5 guys. And then we had our first performance where I had my daughter there. We had a drum from Music Makers gave us a drum.
Okay, we good friends with them. Yeah,
and I bought some cowbells from Barabbas.
Yeah, we good friends with them.
And then and we used the bucket for our tum tum on our first run.
Yeah.
And we played junk, and my cousin, she rang the bells. My boy beat the bass drum. I played on the drum, and I played on the bucket, and that was our first performance.
Okay.
And now we're about 30 deep. You know what I mean?
That's good.
So yeah, and what's funny is like and so from FAMU I started being in Junkanoo because of my best friend.
Okay.
His family is in Music Makers.
Okay.
And so I would always carry the big costumes, but I would never play.
Oh.
Yeah. So for years I would carry big costumes on Bay Street, but I never picked up an instrument until I had my own group.
Interesting. That's good.
Even at FAMU, I made a costume. I danced in the costume, but I never picked up an instrument.
That's interesting. Like all them names you call, like, cause it's been a quick ride. Because over the year, like we've gained connections with Barabbas. Like we go to Junkanoo, we're like probably like once every week or whatever. So we always be in there. And I always talking to Barabbas, and I just met him like in October, and then with Music Makers, when we was doing the going out on Bay Challenge, we went to their shack on what road that name?
Follow Street.
Follow Street.
Yes, sir.
Like we go into their shack and we was on the park with them, and then I know Mickey and Mason and their father, like the leader and stuff like that, and I always in contact with them. So yeah, good people. And like hearing you talk just make me think back to like conversations I have with Barabbas about, taking the energy and putting it out there, coming with this, you come with this. And it's all about building community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that takes me to my other point, which I somewhat noticed when I had moved to Atlanta for school, Why do you think Bahamians, when they move away, don't really try to come together as one?
And connect.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a $1 million question right there.
Because, like, every other group does this or whatever. Like, okay, as soon as I get to a new place, I'm trying to find
You're trying
the
to
people,
connect the dots.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's
right.
like it goes back to the assimilation thing. It's like, okay, I come here, I trying to find something new because I trying to run away from what I is. But then it's like, and I probably somewhat guilty of this because it took me having to go back home for a while and reconnecting with the energy and then coming, recharge back with these grandiose ideas and be like, let's do this in the name of culture. So, but I always wondered, it's like, why don't we stick more together? Because it's like, okay, in Atlanta alone, there's over like 300 Bahamians live here.
No, it's got to be more than that.
Or more?
It's
like,
we was given a number like 10,000 between
What?
not in Atlanta, but between Alabama, Tennessee, and like South Carolina.
Oh,
and
wow.
Atlanta is like over 10,000 Bahamians. There's a lot of Bahamians in the Atlanta area.
10,000. Wow.
So if it's 10,000 in those 4 states, in those nearby states,
If you split that in 4,
right, yeah.
that's still a
So
lot.
you probably got at least 4,000 or 5,000 Bahamians.
That's crazy. Like, and then it's like, I don't understand the connection. And then it's like, when you have, a couple years ago, I went to the Consul General, put on Independence Day. You treat the culture like you a tourist or whatever. Like, this ain't a part you always used to do. Like, you something that you're estranged from. Nothing that you really, consider yourself being a part of.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
somewhat like,
Absolutely.
I really don't understand that. But I think what you doing here and what we doing from home side, that gonna change over time. Cause it's like, once you make something popular, like take something like this, I feel like in the world right now, everybody looking for the new thing or whatever. And with Junkanoo and with Bahamian culture, it's something that's old, but no one know about it because the people in the past never promoted this properly. And now we have the advent of social media and the internet. So it's like just how while we here, we could tell a backstory of how we even connected with Brandon. Like, because I remember I had just started, I think the TJT Instagram, and I was trying to figure out, like, okay, how could I build this platform? So, like, I started following, like, hashtag Junkanoo Marks, and then I was like, I think I came across Junkanoo Gods first, and then I came across your page. And then I was like, all right, I have everything. We have a hashtag TJT certified. So, like, the Junkanoo trademarks are about the Junkanoo shirt.
Right.
So, I think I saw a picture and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I started exploring, oh, they doing this here. In Atlanta, they doing this here. In Miami and Orlando, they doing this here. In New Orleans or Houston, they doing this here. In all these different places. So, I like a couple of pictures, and then I see it was like, you follow us back. And I was like, oh, and we ain't really had that much followers yet. Probably like 50 or something.
Definitely, man.
Yeah. So it was like
whoever trying to promote the culture.
Yeah. So we were surprised, like, okay. So then that's when I came up with these crazy ideas, and I was telling him and Kool-Aid, right, let's go travel to these different places and connect, bro. Or whatever. Let's just do it. And then sooner or later we started connecting with other Caribbean platforms around the world, the UK, Trinidad, Antigua, Barbuda, and other like outside Junkanoo groups too. But we gotta say thanks for following us, man. Like in person.
No problem, man. I'm all about collaborating.
Yeah.
Anybody who want to work with me, I'm working with them. People call me all the time and like, hey, I'm like, sure, whatever you need. But if I could do it, you know what I mean? Even if it cost me a couple of dollars, it cost me 2 hours of my time. If I could do it, if I could spare it, and you promoting the culture, you trying to be a Bahamian local business person, you know what I mean? Entrepreneur. If I could help, we are there. That's why I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what we mainly doing. That's what we're gonna continue to do until God call us home. like for real, because like it's too much fun. Like this last year, I really got to experience what it's like to be a Junkanoo, to why you thrive off this culture, the excitement, the energy, the togetherness. And I think the world need more togetherness. The world need more love, and we need to be more harmonious with each other. You know?
Definitely, man. Definitely. Like the young fellas are saying, Fox, man.
Facts.
Straight Fox.
So tell us, okay, so we're currently in Atlanta now. Brandon is not in now, so we came to him.
Yeah. Big ups, man. Big ups, man.
So tell us
Awesome.
what's new with the Atlanta Junkanoo Group, what y'all was into this week, and what's y'all future the plans for rest of the year?
Upcoming?
Yeah.
So we took part in the Atlanta Carnival, Atlanta DeKalb Carnival 2019. We placed third out of about 20 bands. I think maybe 10 or 15 was competing.
Okay.
And we were third, and we were actually a smaller band. So the two bigger bands, the bands that beat us were like 200-300 deep. We were like 75.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And really we. Like my boy was saying earlier, we literally planned to participate, compete last week when we figured we was going to put a big piece on.
Okay.
And then they said that they were going to do a king and queen competition. Okay. So we were like, oh, we got to enter this one piece in there, so let's compete. And then we got third. So yeah, man. So we went. We've been doing Atlanta DeKalb Carnival now for 3 years. Last 3 years, and it's been some growing pains, but it's been fun, and we've definitely gotten some support, and gotten better. The product itself on the road has gotten better.
That's good.
So yeah, and so what we do here, I try to keep it as like community based as much as possible. So we're here like I try to make sure we're just supporting this community, man. And when people have issues going on, some people call me. We're trying to help. And beyond that, and that's like the really beautiful thing about having this group is being in a position to help. And one of the things I want to do is make sure that while I'm in this position to help, I could. That I'm being in a position to help because I'm a leader, but being in a position I can help like from a financial standpoint, stuff like that. So that's something I want to do in the future. But as Atlanta Junkanoo Group, we perform all year round. So next Wednesday, like this Wednesday, we have a big event coming up. We're doing something for the Ministry of Tourism. And we have a busy June, a busy July. And then probably in the next 2 months, then we probably slow down. And then usually the wedding season picks up. October, November. Yeah. We definitely get some people calling. So we're trying to staying busy there is always interesting. But we're just trying to we're trying to look for sponsors now.
Okay.
And that's I think because talking about the Shack and how the Shack and FAMU really helped create a community.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that we're missing. We're missing like a huge,
like
nice,
a place. Yeah.
Yeah, a place, a solid sponsor, and then a place where we can go work on our costumes, be a safe home for college students, safe home for people, for Bahamians. You know what I mean? Just a safe place. Yeah. Not necessarily home. It's a safe place. Like, you know, I need somewhere to go. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know where to go. Yeah. I need to just hang out, just sit, work on a couple of costumes. I just need to get out the house, something like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's next for us. You know what I mean?
Okay. So who typically books y'all for gigs? Mainly people that Bahamians or what's that process like?
So we have a performance request form on our website.
Okay.
And essentially everybody we ask people to submit that. We get their information and we call them back and just try to get a sense of what you got. And a lot has been family reunions, weddings. We definitely the ministry, the consulate general. You know, they'll throw in a couple events in there. We did a bar mitzvah
Interesting.
Nice.
Well, but that was like, because like, you know,
That
when
was really
people
cool,
ain't used to
man.
hearing the cowbell shaking and that drum,
See,
like, you
people,
know.
like, but they get it. Like,
Yeah.
people, like, yeah, man. If you excited about it, they get it. We got, they were really excited about that. They had a lot of fun. It was crazy is Bahamians we'll perform for Bahamians, and Bahamians just kind of look at us. You know what I mean?
That's,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Just-
that's our bouginess.
You're right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, and it's not everybody,
Yeah.
but definitely when we perform for when we go to a party that for white Americans,
Yeah.
or something like if they're in that element of partying, they're
Yeah.
gonna party, they're gonna enjoy it. You know what I mean? They or you know who really gets it. The African Americans that are in like the African community.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I always say that bass line, that drum beat, that dum dum.
Oh, we love
They love that.
performing.
Like, you know.
The people who in the Yoruba or the Ifa culture, they man.
Yeah, because
there's so much fun. It's so much fun with those guys.
what I always say is, right, Bahamian culture is just an extension of West African culture.
Right,
Like, to
right.
be
That's
honest,
where
right?
Junkanoo
Like,
came from,
yeah,
right? Like it came from Africa.
Yeah.
Yes, man. Yes.
So it's like everybody, and I was telling my Indian friend this the other day. I was like, yo, Junkanoo music is for everybody because it's music. And like the bass line, like everybody, like you listen to any type of music, that same like drum part, it's some drum pattern and they build the rest of the instruments around it. So it either could be like the
Yes.
dum dum or get away dum 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 dum, like soca dum 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 dum, like you know. So it's either at the RPM is either higher or lower, but it's still that dum dum, and then you just orchestrate the music
and
around
it's simple,
it.
right?
Yeah,
It's a heartbeat.
yeah.
You know
it's
what I
a
mean?
heartbeat.
It's a heartbeat, man.
Yeah.
Like doom doom. That's
Yeah.
a heartbeat. You know what I mean? My wife came when we were dating. Our first time she came down, and she's an American, and she fell in love with Junkanoo. So I was like, babe, we gotta go. So we, I can't remember. She wasn't in. No, she was actually in Junkanoo the first time.
Uh-huh.
I put her in. I got her costume.
Oh, which
and I was
one?
like, before we,
Oh, yeah.
I was like, before we perform, I want you to come in the back, like in the bass, so to catch this bass.
Yeah.
And she went in the back, and you know when you start on the line on Bay Street and them bass
They
hit,
start warming up.
oh my
yeah.
God,
That's it.
fell in love,
'Cause
fell in love.
I feel like it wakes a something primal inside of us.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
you know, like when you had a drum, like anybody, like it's like, you start going in a trance, and you start to mellow out. And then it's like, you had the brass come in, dun, 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 like it's just like it's just like, oh,
Yes,
like,
yes,
just take-
yes,
yeah.
yes. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
but that's good. But I mean, I think when that was we talked about dating. Actually, that was our last episode.
That
We
was
talked
the
about
last
dating
one.
foreigners or whatever. So she was completely accepting of culture, or like, was it like it took her a while to understand, or
No. I mean, she was very accepting, man. She was in.
that's good.
She was in.
Cause like, I mean, I've dated Americans before. It's like they'll get it, and then it's like, okay, this is interesting. Oh wow, this and that and that. But then it's like, okay, you want to know why it's so colorful and like extra. It's like that's within me. So
Right,
like
right,
I remember
right.
that's good.
So I would say the only thing she has difficulty with is how I talk to her, right? Like, you know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like with a Bahamian woman, like you talk like Bahamians, we talk to people. We talk,
Aggressively.
but
Yeah,
we talk to everybody the same way.
Yeah.
And it don't always mean anything.
Yeah,
And
like-
so all right, so if I get any bit aggressive in what I say, and I may not even be in any way trying to, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
push negative energy
Yeah.
on her, but she'd be like, no, that don't feel right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I think it's just a forceful thing. Like my mommy always say, I was like, but I just talk hard.
Right,
Like I
right,
just talk
right,
talking hard.
right.
So I mean, I think it's something that you just get accustomed to, and it's like, but that's just the
Right.
person.
But I mean, we've been together, shoot, since 2003. So what's that?
that's-
16 years?
Yeah, 16 years. Almost 20, man.
Yeah.
And you still look
And
young.
I'm still, and I'm still like, I wasn't serious, man. I'm trying to beat you down here. I'm just talking
Yeah.
though. So yeah, man.
All right, but that's good. Before you have anything else to add?
No, man. I mean, I just grasping all the knowledge.
Yeah.
Y'all fellas
I know y'all hear that Junkanoo music in the background.
Yeah, we just kicking up for this big bashment going on in the background.
Yeah, because I don't know, but I ain't gonna lie. Most of our parts takes place at a party, and while we party, then you can hear a party going on in the
Right in
back.
the bar. You remember I can't remember if it's the last 2 or 3 parts. You remember when we went to Bahamas?
Yeah, one gal though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a fat going on in the back, and we just like, yeah, what's about dating and this and that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's the settings for our things, but we try to keep everything cool. So,
If I could, I just want to add one more thing, and
All
I
right.
just kind of a request.
all right.
Right? So next year, so my goal for I got 2 goals,
All right.
right? Two lofty goals. I wanna in Carnival here, I wanna do the biggest Junkanoo show outside of the Bahamas in this Carnival.
Okay.
That's the goal. So I've been reaching out. I've been trying to reach out to Junkanoo Commandos for about like 2 years.
That's in Orlando, right?
No, Junkanoo Commandos from home. So they travel.
Okay.
Really a great group.
Okay.
Great group, a great travel group. I've been reaching out to them. I've been emails on social media. I've heard nothing back. I'm trying to get them. Somebody tell Junkanoo Commandos, hit me up. I talked to the Miami guys. I know
Guards.
I know some. Yeah, Junkanoo Guards. And then there's another group down there. But I really want to do a big Junkanoo showing, and then we're gonna try to do like a big maybe festival at some point. I really want to do a big Junkanoo group. So anybody willing to work with us, anybody who want to do Junkanoo, I'll probably end up talking to Barabbas to come down next year for Carnival. I'm gonna be looking for some sponsors, but that's a big goal of mine. Before I really let this, because it's been tough to make this work. Because you know what I mean. I'm a structural engineer, so so having a full-time job and doing stuff like putting on Carnival is really tough. So before I really let somebody else kind of take the reins or kind of step down a little bit, I really want to push this Junkanoo agenda here and make sure. I mean, I'm thinking like 100 to 200 people in Junkanoo costumes here.
I mean, if you start planning from now, we can make
Definitely,
that happen.
I mean,
like,
so I've been talking to Sean Burrows, Euphoria Mass.
okay.
That's a church buddy of mine. We've been to church. He came from the same church. So he's definitely trying to get me to work with him in terms of Carnival. So I definitely want to improve my Carnival element, but before I really get I want to make sure that this Junkanoo element is big and bad, man. I want to leave that Carnival like, wow, whatever that was, that needs to happen again, and we need to do that somewhere else. You know what I mean?
I mean, like I say, all we gotta do is coordinate. Because I mind coming back up here next year because I think on our agenda we're going to Toronto for Caravana, and I know they have, because what's your boy name? Our friend, like they have a band in Toronto too, like a Junkanoo group.
Nice.
Like like I said, we can make it happen. Like, listen, I ain't all about Wakanda forever, but Wakanda is us. And we gotta connect. We gotta connect.
Please.
We gotta connect to everybody.
I'm an open book. My number is all over social media. My name and number is all over social media. Hit me up.
Yeah, we gotta connect and make it big,
Yes, sir.
If we ain't gonna push our own culture, ain't nobody else can push it for. They can steal it from us.
Absolutely.
So
thank you to you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you to you.
Of course.
Thank you to Buford. Thank you to Justin, man.
Yeah.
To you guys, keep doing what you're doing, man. I really appreciate it, man. For real.
No problem.
From my heart.
So you know what it is. And this another one for the books. We on the road. We in foreign, right? This Erryting Kool. And that's it.
You know how the thing goes.
So peace, love. Yeah, see.
All right.